What you're about to see in this video is absolutely mind-blowing. I really hope that you will take the time to watch till the end, because as you watch you will understand that not only your life and the life of your beloved ones, but the very existence of all of humanity is at stake. And this is not an exaggeration by any means. So please sit back and watch the most important message that humanity has to hear in our time.
So I want to talk to you today about the future of our species and really the future of life. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. Within a century or two, Earth will be dominated by entities that are more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees. Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. These will be the main products of the economy, of the 21st century economy. Not textiles and vehicles and weapons, but bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future not just of humanity, but the future of life itself.
Later in this video you will see a lot more about the official agenda of the World Economic Forum and all its globalist allies like the World Bank and the United Nations to create a new breed of cyborgs, humanoids, that they believe will rule over all of humanity. But first I have to explain something else to you that is equally bizarre and very important for all of us to know. Here you can see the 46th President of the United States of America. A rumor has been spreading around the world that is so bizarre that most of us who are watching will find it very hard to believe. But still I have to reveal this to you because it is of critical importance, not only for America but for the whole world. So what is the rumor that is circulating worldwide? Let's listen to what President Trump said about Joe Biden.
Under Joe Biden and the left, I don't know if it's Joe, to be honest with you. It's somebody. Does anybody know who it is? It's somebody.
He literally questions the identity of Joe Biden. He's even asking the audience if anybody knows who this person is.
Under Joe Biden and the left, I don't know if it's Joe, to be honest with you. It's somebody. Does anybody know who it is? It's somebody.
And then you have one of the most renowned news reporters in America, Sean Hannity from Fox News, who said the following.
And look at Joe Biden in 2012, and Joe Biden in 2016, and Joe Biden today. You decide.
He sent me 2 letters saying, by the way, can you send me some stimulus money for companies here in the state of Wisconsin? We sent millions of dollars.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
Now they got a new plan. Trust me, it's not going to cost you any more. Folks, follow your instincts on this one.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing. They put one foot in front of the other. They keep going. That's the unbreakable spirit of the people of America. That's who we are. And Representatives Shirley Jackson Lee, Al Green, Sylvia Garcia, Lizzie Pinelli, Pinell, and what am I doing here? I'm going to lose track here.
What am I doing here? I'm losing track again. This is not a medical diagnosis. I'm not a doctor. I won't play one on TV. But it's pretty clear transparent, it's obvious. That's not the same guy. That's not the same guy.
So both these men who have tremendous influence in America said publicly that Joe Biden is not really Joe Biden. I'm an investigative journalist and I have a very inquisitive nature. When I see these kinds of things, I want to get to the bottom of this. If this is true, then you and me and the whole world and all the nations in the world are being lied to, are being played, are being deceived and fooled in a way that is simply unimaginable. How can the President of America be a downright imposter, an actor, somebody who has assumed a false identity? Is that really possible? I did an in-depth investigation and came to a very shocking conclusion. I invite you to come with me. And this is of major importance to understand the rest of this video. I started out with showing you the agenda of the World Economic Forum to create cyborgs that will rule over humanity, and they will be as different from us as we are from chimpanzees.
Earth will be dominated by entities that are more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees.
So their plan is extremely wicked. And you will understand in a little bit, as you watch this video, why we have to know that the President of America is a fraud who deceives all of us. Because there is an agenda being forced that all of us need to be aware of in order to protect our life. So let's start our investigation. First, I'll show you two video clips of interviews, one with the original Biden and the other with the man who currently claims to be Joe Biden so that he can fill the seat of the American president. At the left you see the original Biden. At the right is the current man who claims to be Joe Biden. You can see them talk. I muted their voices so you can focus on their faces. Here are two other images from different interviews in higher quality. I encourage you to really look with a sharp, analytical mind. Don't just stare at those faces, but try to comprehend what you're actually looking at. Try to understand the differences in the faces. Look at the eyes, look at the cheeks, look at the ears. Here are again two different portraits of these both men. I want to highlight one specific detail for you which will help all of you to understand that indeed something very weird is going on here. The ear from the original Biden is thick and separated from the head. The ear from the current guy who claims to be the same Biden is thin, longer, and it is completely connected to the head. And if we look at this part of the ear, it goes straight up, while the other one is curved. This is also much deeper and this is more shallow. These ears are completely different. There's a significant birthmark on the forehead. This one has no birthmark. Sunken cheeks. There's a dent in his cheeks. These are apple cheeks, the exact opposite. This head is much wider than this guy. And look at the eyes. There's no comparison. Here we can see the same. Sunken cheeks, a dent in the cheeks, apple cheeks, the exact opposite. Look at the eyes, look at those eyes. He has a more square head, he has a rounder head. His skin is super smooth. The original Biden had a very rough skin. These are two entirely different men. The original Biden had a really squarish head, while the current man who claims to be Biden has a more oval head. It's nicely rounded. Here, look at the teeth. Big teeth. This is an entirely different mouth. Entirely different mouth. The whole head is again completely different skull. This is no makeup. This is no plastic surgery, no aging. These are different heads altogether. If we go back to these photos, then we can see that the wrinkles on the forehead are completely different. Wrinkles are like a fingerprint. They are unique with our person. They can be used in criminal investigations, just like fingerprints. Here we can see it very clearly. Entirely different face print, just like fingerprints. There's no comparison. This is a different, unique person than this guy. Entirely different. There's no doubt about this. So Trump is right. Hannity is right. The millions of people who have been saying this on the internet the past 2 years, they're all right. The original Biden is gone. He has been replaced by an imposter, a fraud, a liar, a con man. Look at him. He's entirely different. There's no comparison between these two heads. You and me and the whole world, we are being fooled in an amazing, mind-blowing way. So the question is, why have they done this? Well, obviously, this actor, this imposter, had to assume the identity of Joe Biden because he was known by the American public, and he needed this to be able to take the seat of the American president. But what is the agenda behind this? Why this theater for the whole world? Why are they lying to everyone? Well, if we look at what this man is doing, then we can see that he is closely working with the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is the #1 entity in our world that is pushing very hard towards global governance or a one world government. The agenda for global governance has been pushed for decades. I'll show you a few clips.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause.
But it is the awareness itself that will drive the change. And one of the ways it will drive the change is through global governance and global agreements.
Type 1 civilization is a connected civilization, a single global culture, a single global language, global communication, global politics. We see this beginning now. We see it emerging all around us. Eventually, we will see the rise of a single world government.
2009 is also the first year of global governance, with the establishment of the G20 in the middle of the financial crisis. The climate conference in Copenhagen is another step towards the global management of our planet.
These measures are enacted and we continue to move forward with the G20 process. We will have the kind of global governance that is necessary to ensure the stability and transparency of markets.
The main public organization that is pushing this agenda is the World Economic Forum. On the website we can see their detailed strategy, and it includes global governance. It includes internet governance, which means that they want to establish complete control over what kind of information is allowed on the internet and what has to be censored. They also want to install worldwide digital IDs, which will be connected to vaccine passports, social credit scores, and a suffocating surveillance system, which will eradicate every and all personal freedom and install a totalitarian, dystopian control system which will allow no escape for anyone, because it will be everywhere. In one post on the website Forbes.com, which is a very prominent website of the globalists, the World Economic Forum literally, publicly makes the statement that even the thoughts, emotions and dreams of everybody living in the big cities will be recorded. That's how far they want to push their worldwide surveillance society. This article was written by Ida Auken, a young global leader of the World Economic Forum. She was strategically positioned as the Minister of the Environment in the government of Denmark. She is now aggressively pushing for the development of smart cities where this all-encompassing surveillance technology will be implemented. This was confirmed by the president of Chile, who on national television openly said that 5G is able to not only read our thoughts, but to actually insert thoughts and emotions. Talking about a dystopian nightmare.
La posibilidad de que las máquinas puedan leer nuestro pensamiento e incluso puedan insertar pensamientos, insertar sentimientos. La tecnología 5G es un cambio aún mayor en nuestras vidas de lo que han significado todas las tecnologías anteriores en esta materia.
This president from Chile is also a very passionate servant of the World Economic Forum and their agenda. On the website stopworldcontrol.com, you can find an in-depth report that outlines the entire agenda for world domination by the World Economic Forum and their globalist allies. The agenda for world domination is nothing new. Human history saw the rise and fall of one world empire after the other. The Chinese, Greek, Roman, Spanish and British world empires all desired one thing: submit all of humanity to their totalitarian control. Of course, they all claim to improve the state of the world, just like the World Economic Forum is doing today. And they use fancy words like sustainable development. But if you look at their agenda, it is crystal clear that they simply want to rob humanity from their voice, their identity, their rights and freedoms, and install a complete totalitarian, dystopian control, surveillance society, which will be literally hell on earth for humanity. One of the ways that the World Economic Forum seizes control over governments worldwide is by strategically positioning their puppets into the governments. Klaus Schwab was recorded on video bragging about how they fill cabinets all over the world.
What we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, is that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's true in Argentina too. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's true in Argentina as well.
It's true in Argentina, and it's true in France now. I mean, with the president, with a young global leader, but...
Klaus Schwab also brags about how they control scientists, the media, activists, and even religious leaders.
We have, if I look at our stakeholders, we have business, of course, as a very important audience, and we have politics. We have continuous partnerships with many governments around the world. And of course we have NGOs, we have trade unions, we have all those different parts. Media, of course. Media, of course, and very important experts and scientists and academia. Because if we are looking at the future, I think we should look at new solutions, and the new solutions will be very much driven by technological developments.
And we even have, you even have religious leaders, right?
We have religious leaders, we have social entrepreneurs, very important social entrepreneurs.
Klaus Schwab says they are the ones who determine the future. Note how he talks about their role in the global governance system. This means controlling the whole world.
So we have defined 15 key systems for the world. For example, the future, shaping the future of digital industries, shaping the future of the financial and monetary system, shaping the future of health system, shaping the future of socially inclusive countries, shaping the future of education, and I could go on and on.
Still, the majority of the world population considers this to be fake news or a conspiracy theory. Meanwhile, Schwab openly speaks about 15 key systems they are working on that they want to impose on all of humanity, without the consent of any one of us. He says they are shaping the future of healthcare, education, money, and so on, every aspect of our lives. One of their most nefarious goals is to end humanity as we know it and turn every human being into a cyborg, a symbiosis between man and machine. This can sound very interesting for some people who think that it will give us superhuman abilities, and it may do that to a certain degree. What they of course don't mention is that once you're hooked up to the cloud and you are controlled by artificial intelligence, you lose every and all independence, sovereignty, freedom. Then you literally become a slave of a totalitarian digital surveillance network worldwide. And there's no escaping, because once you have the chip in your brain, you will be monitored everywhere you go. And they will be able to insert all kinds of commands into your body that will control you even beyond your consciousness. You won't even notice it. That agenda is confirmed by a prominent spokesperson for the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, the Israeli professor Noah Yuval Harari. Listen closely to some of his insane statements.
We've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
Do you realize what he's actually saying? Remember, this is a prominent spokesperson for the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and many other leading globalist entities, who literally declares that people will no longer be able to choose who they elect or what they even buy in the supermarket. That era is over, he says.
Whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
Eventually, within 10 or 20 or 30 years, such algorithms could also tell you what to study at college and where to work and whom to marry and even whom to vote for.
So according to Harari, we should no longer listen to our heart, our intuition, our experience, our own senses, but we should allow artificial intelligence to determine who to marry and who to vote for. This means a total takeover of the human soul, spirit, mind, and our entire life by robots.
After thousands of years, during which humans were the rulers of the world, authority and power will shift away from humans to computers, and most humans will become economically useless and politically powerless. Already today, we are beginning to see the creation of a new class of humans, the useless class.
During the 2020 Davos conference, there was a session dedicated to discussing the transition from humanity to becoming a cyborg. One of the panel members confirmed what we've heard from Harari, that technology will no longer be outside of us, but will be built deep inside of us.
We're going to start the When Humans Become Cyborg session. You know, I always want to be a cyborg. I'm waiting for the day to become one, but let's see. Like today, we like to really talk about the recent developments of brain-computer interface and how that's really blurring the line between man and machine.
There is even like devices that can collect what you're seeing, measuring your feelings either through facial recognition devices, micro muscle movements, and so on. These data is going to be stored somewhere, so it might be in a cloud service.
I can easily imagine big tech companies having a lot of control over that data. So is that the future that's...
Yeah.
In another session, the CEO of Nokia said that smartphones will be built inside of our bodies.
I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual, kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
and that it's indeed their agenda to track us everywhere we go, everything we do, everything we buy, is confirmed in this clip from the World Economic Forum.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
And of course, they always use an excuse. In this instance, they use climate change as the excuse. Yeah, we have to completely track where you go to make sure that you don't emit too much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. These are the guys who have been destroying our world from the very beginning. They are the ones who have been financing and building the construction of factories all over the world. They are the ones who have been destroying all the forests. They are the ones who have been building all the big cities, eradicating all the trees. They are the ones who have been doing everything that has been devastating the world. It's the big financial elites. And now they use the destruction that they have caused as the excuse to impose a suffocating, surveillance, tyrannical society onto all of us. Apart from implanting all kinds of technological devices and computer chips into our bodies, they are talking about genetically editing humanity, which means that it will change us at our very core. We will become GMO, genetically modified organisms. Here's what Klaus Schwab has to say about this.
The difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course this has a big impact on your identity.
And offers certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about. You know, when you began to do that kind of gene editing, some people worry that you are changing what it means to be human.
In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. We are about to enter a new era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. Our intelligent design. We are in the process of acquiring divine abilities, of turning ourselves into gods. And I mean this in the most literal sense possible. It's not a metaphor. God is the creator. His chief power is to create. He creates animals and plants and humans according to his wishes. Now we are gaining this power to create life, just like God. And in a way, we even go beyond the biblical God. Because even if you believe the Bible, the only thing God managed to create are organic beings. All these trees and giraffes and humans, they are just organic. But we are now trying to create inorganic entities, inorganic life forms, cyborgs, artificial intelligence, and so forth. If we succeed, and there is a very good chance we will, then very soon we will be beyond the God of the Bible. Humankind splitting into biological castes because bioengineering gives us, for the first time in history, the ability to translate economic inequality into biological inequality. So, and then humankind splits into really different species or different biological castes. One of the things that is happening right now in the world is that you see the elite diverging from humankind as a whole and already seeing beyond the horizon or on the horizon the possibility of a real split, that the future of the elite and the future of Homo sapiens, that's a different future because the elite is going to be transformed into a different kind of species.
Harari has chosen a very peculiar name for a technology to edit humans. He calls it
B times C times D equals R, which means biological knowledge multiplied by computing power, multiplied by data, equals the ability to hack humans.
This is very significant because he's a Jew, he comes from Israel, he knows Hebrew. In the Hebrew language and culture, the name of God, the creator of all life, is Ah. The full name of God is Yahweh, which basically means the breath of life. He who creates all life is always present. In English, we pronounce it as Yahweh. In the Bible, you see that many people who went into a relationship with the creator of life, like Abraham, when God made a covenant with him, he added his name to the name of Abraham. And Abraham was changed in Abraham. So was added to his name. Is the name of the Most High God, the creator of all life.
B times C times D equals A, which means biological knowledge multiplied by computing power multiplied by data equals the ability to hack humans. We are in the process of acquiring divine abilities, of turning ourselves into gods. And I mean this in the most literal sense possible. It's not a metaphor. Now we are gaining this power to create life, just like God. And in a way, we even go beyond the biblical God.
The fact that Harari uses the name of God for the technology to edit and to basically create a new form of life, to pervert humans and make them into something controllable through digital technology, shows the level of insanity of these people. It sounds like the plot of a cheap science fiction movie, but it's not a movie. It is the horrific reality of the official agenda, published and promoted all over the world by the World Economic Forum and by their puppets in governments, in nations worldwide. And this imposter who is acting as if he's Biden so that he could fill the seat of the American president, he is pushing this agenda big time. He recently signed an executive order that paves the way for this transhumanist agenda. The executive order reads as follows. We need to develop genetic engineering technologies and techniques to be able to write circuitry for cells and predictably program biology in the same way in which we write software and program computers. Unlock the power of biological data, including through computing tools and artificial intelligence. So it is obvious why this actor, this imposter, this fake Biden had to be positioned in order to steer America towards this agenda. So how did this imposter get into that position in the first place? Well, several former generals and colonels from the US military have come forward and they have been revealing undeniable evidence that the 2020 presidential election was rigged.
Everybody in this country, everybody in the world knows that this election on the 3rd of November was a total ripoff. It was a fraudulent election. We have had foreign interference from multiple countries, and Donald Trump was the clear winner. For the next 4 days after the 3rd of November, from about the 4th through the 7th, 8th of November, they just started stuffing the ballot boxes, and everybody knows it, and they got caught. They got caught with their hands in the proverbial cookie jar, so that's where we are. In terms of the election, what we know is that the election was won by Donald Trump that night. Approximately 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, 80 to 90% of the precincts in nationwide, Trump won hands down, hands down. And then all of a sudden we had this very, very uncertain, everything stops. We've never had that in our country in our presidential election. So 5 states shut down. Joe Biden goes to bed. I mean, he probably never came out of the basement. And so then what happened was they realized, they being the Democratic machine, they realized that the algorithms that they put into these Dominion machines and these what's called ES&S, which is electronic security systems, 95% of the electronic voting done in this country is done by those two systems, Dominion and ES&S, okay? The majority of people in this country don't even realize that. Those machines are and the companies behind them are partially owned by the Chinese Communist Party. The Communist Chinese Party paid $200 million in 2014 to Dominion, and they paid in October, I believe it was October of 2020, another $400 million put into this company. So we have foreign interference from China, we have foreign interference from Serbia, we have foreign interference from Italy, from Spain, from Germany, and then on the 3rd of November, the FBI and CISA, which is that guy Krebs, right? Krebs, who came out and said, hey, there's no foreign interference at all about a week after the election. CISA is a Homeland Security cyber security agency. On the 30th of October, 2020, and on the 3rd of November, both in what's called a joint intelligence advisory, the FBI and CISA issued an advisory saying that Iran is mucking around in our election system. They were doing it on the 3rd of November, which is the day of the election. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security both said there's foreign interference in our election on election day by the country of Iran.
There's a person who is telling the world what Italy's role was using the satellite, Italian government satellite, and they were changing votes. But there were many countries that were doing that. But it had to be controlled from China using hammer and scorecard, in my opinion, because you couldn't have so many different attacks, because you'd be changing numbers in all the 50 states that just wouldn't match up. That has to be synchronized. Taken control. They have taken control of our society.
There is even a video recording of an Italian top lawyer who reads an affidavit from an Italian government official who confesses under oath that he was part of an operation led by the US Embassy in Rome to use defense satellites that switched millions of votes from Trump to Biden.
Professor Alfio D'Urso, lawyer of Via Vittorio Emanuele, Catania, do hereby provide the following affidavit of facts as conveyed in several meetings with the high-level Army Security Services official. Under instruction and direction of U.S. persons working from the U.S. Embassy in Rome, undertook the operation to switch data from the U.S. election of 3rd November 2020 from significant margin of victory from Donald Trump to Joe Biden in a number of states where Joe Biden was losing the vote totals. Defendant states that he was working in Pescara facility of Leonardo Spa and utilized military-grade cyber warfare encryption capabilities to transmit switched votes via military satellite of Fushino Tower to Frankfurt, Germany. The defendant swears that the data in some cases may have been switched to represent more than total voters registered. The defendant states he is willing to testify to all individuals and entities involved in the switching of votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden when he shall be in total protection from himself and his family. Defendant states he has secured in an undisclosed location the backup of the original data and data switched upon instruction to provide evidence at court in this matter. I hereby declare and swear the above stated facts have been stated in my presence.
There's also footage from surveillance cameras that has revealed how thousands of people have been stuffing ballot boxes with countless fake ballots for Biden. And you can see this footage with your own eyes in the movie 2000 Mules. And then you have the documentary's absolute proof and scientific proof that even uncover the actual servers in China that were also used to switch innumerable votes from Trump to Biden. So why have all these nations worked together to remove Trump from office? We find the answer if we listen to the speeches that Trump has given. For example, at the General Assembly of the United Nations and at the yearly conference at the World Economic Forum. Trump made very bold and very fearless statements against their agenda of a one world government and total world domination.
Each of us here today is the emissary of a distinct culture, a rich history, and a people bound together by ties of memory, tradition, and the values that make our homelands like nowhere else on earth. That is why America will always choose independence and cooperation over global governance, control, and domination. I honor the right of every nation in this room to pursue its own customs, beliefs, and traditions. The United States will not tell you how to live or work or worship. We only ask that you honor our sovereignty in return. In America, we believe in the majesty of freedom and the dignity of the individual. We believe in self-government and the rule of law, and we prize the culture that sustains our liberty, a culture built on strong families, deep faith, and fierce independence. We celebrate our heroes, we treasure our traditions, and above all, we love our country. Inside everyone in this great chamber today, and everyone listening all around the globe, there is the heart of a patriot that feels the same powerful love for your nation, the same intense loyalty to your homeland. The passion that burns in the hearts of patriots and the souls of nations has inspired reform and revolution, sacrifice and selflessness, scientific breakthroughs, and magnificent works of art. Our task is not to erase it, but to embrace it, to build with it, to draw on its ancient wisdom, and to find within it the will to make our nations greater, our region safer, and the world better. To unleash this incredible potential in our people, we must defend the foundations that make it all possible. Sovereign and independent nations are the only vehicle where freedom has ever survived, democracy has ever endured, or peace has ever prospered. And so we must protect our sovereignty and our cherished independence above all. So together, let us choose a future of patriotism, prosperity, and pride. Let us choose peace and freedom over domination and defeat. And let us come here to this place to stand for our people and their nations, forever strong, forever sovereign, forever just, and forever thankful for the grace and the goodness and the glory of God. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the nations of the world. Thank you very much. Thank you.
President Trump radically confronted the nefarious agenda of diminishing individual nations in the favor of global governance. During his second speech at the General Assembly of the United Nations, President Trump was even more direct.
Our time is one of great contests, high stakes, and clear choices. The essential divide that runs all around the world and throughout history is once again thrown into stark relief. It is the divide between those whose thirst for control deludes them into thinking they are destined to rule over others, and those people and nations who want only to rule themselves. I have the immense privilege of addressing you today as the elected leader of a nation that prizes liberty, independence, and self-government above all. Americans know that in a world where others seek conquest and domination, our nation must be strong in wealth, in might, and in spirit. That is why the United States vigorously defends the traditions and customs that have made us who we are. Like my beloved country, each nation represented in this hall has a cherished history, culture, and heritage that is worth defending and celebrating, and which gives us our singular potential and strength. The free world must embrace its national foundations. It must not attempt to erase them or replace them. Looking around and all over this large, magnificent planet, the truth is plain to see. If you want freedom, take pride in your country. If you want democracy, hold on to your sovereignty. And if you want peace, love your nation. Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots. The future belongs to sovereign and independent nations who protect their citizens, respect their neighbors, and honor the differences that make each country special and unique. Globalism exerted a religious pull over past leaders, causing them to ignore their own national interests. But as far as America is concerned, those days are over. Love of our nations makes the world better for all nations. So to all the leaders here today, join us in the most fulfilling mission a person could have, the most profound contribution anyone can make. Lift up your nations, cherish your culture, honor your histories, treasure your citizens, make your country strong and prosperous and righteous, honor the dignity of your people, and nothing will be outside of your reach. When our nations are greater, the future will be brighter, our people will be happier, and our partnerships will be stronger. With God's help, together we will cast off the enemies of liberty and overcome the oppressors of dignity.
When President Trump spoke at the World Economic Forum, he did the exact same thing. The strategy of the globalists is to always create fear by projecting doom and destruction over our world. They do this so that the people would be terrified and then ready to accept their quote-unquote salvation, which literally means imposing totalitarian dictatorships, stealing all rights and freedoms from the people. President Trump literally exposed that right in their midst, and he said that America would not go along with their agenda.
But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives. We will never let radical socialists destroy our economy, wreck our country, or eradicate our liberty. America will always be the proud, strong, and unyielding bastion of freedom.
So it is clear why they had to remove him. And one of the billionaires who pushes the agenda of the globalists is George Soros. He announced that President Trump would be removed from office because he was so-called a threat to the world.
Clearly, I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020.
And indeed, that's what they did. They executed an unprecedented international operation to steal the presidential election. The reason I make this video is to show you a few things. First of all, that there is organized crime at the highest level of our nations. This doesn't only happen in America. Recently in Brazil, the exact same thing happened, where the most popular president of Brazil in all of the history of that country, Jair Bolsonaro, loved by the people like no one else. He supposedly was rejected by the Brazilian people in favor of a guy who, just like Biden, was extremely unpopular, only had a few people at his rallies. But he is pushing the agenda of the globalists. He is forcing the plan to destroy Brazil and make it a nation that will be completely submitted to the totalitarian tyranny of a one-world government. And Donald Trump is the one who exposed them clearly. He called them out for what they are.
These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives.
I want to invite you to open your eyes. Stop pretending as if nothing is wrong. The Roman Empire was real. Chinese Empire, British Empire, Greek, Spanish Empire, they were all very real. These tyrants haven't gone anywhere. It's now our turn in the course of history to stand up against criminal, dark, evil tyrants and to protect our children and to make sure that we build a better world. So please share this video far and wide. It is imperative that we wake up the people. Don't be the one where the spreading of this important message stops because you're afraid to show it to somebody else. If we all keep sharing this, then we can break through their suffocating stranglehold over all of humanity and inform the people about what's really going on. I also invite you to go to the website stopworldcontrol.com and watch other documentaries that will powerfully inform you and help you to defend your life and help you to build a world of freedom, goodness and justice. A world where people can flourish instead of be oppressed by tyrants.